Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, welcome back to the AussieVerse. I am OmniBeau, joined by Mark Grodd Watson for our live chat number 9. How you going, Grodd?
I am going very good, Bo. How about yourself?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. As usual, we are on Instagram from AussieVerse Comics Collectors. Please go take a look there. And we are sponsored by Comx. There is no I in Comx. Go check them out there. We have our 400 subscriber giveaway, which is a $100 Amazon gift card. So as soon as we get to that, we will be announcing a winner. And please don't forget as well, on Instagram, go check out A51 Designs, who does all of our graphic design, all of our editing, our clips and thumbnails. And with that being said, let's bring on our special guest today with his own YouTube channel, Memento Mori. It is Aiden Nelson. How you going, champ?
How you going, guys? I'm just settling in for the night. How are y'all doing?
Oh, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
Hello, Facebook user. We don't know who you are.
Sup, Bo?
I'm going to put out a disclaimer, I think, that just informs people that during Facebook, we don't know who you are. But what's been going on in your world before we jump into all the comic book news, boys?
Mark, you go first.
For those that don't know, Aiden, introduce yourself to the AussieVerse, my friend.
Yeah, so I'm Aiden Nelson. I got my own little YouTube channel thing that I've been running for about a year now, 2 years. It's Memento Mori Reviews. I have it as a place just to throw up random movie reviews and TV reviews and the occasional statue unboxing and stuff like that. It's really just a place to collect all of my random rambling essays that I've got nowhere to put on the internet except for YouTube. That's about it.
Go check that out. I will put that in the comments for you to be able to click on and check out Aiden's stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think most of us would, we've been around on the Facebook pages for a while, here, there, and everywhere, you know. I think most Australian people that are in the comic book community all kind of know one another at this point, don't we?
Yeah.
I think so. But there's always
Pretty
more
much.
people to meet too.
Yeah. Always more people to meet.
Well, with that, I don't know about you guys, but I think the first bit of news for the week should definitely be about, unfortunately, Neil Adams passing away.
Yeah, I read that a couple of what was it, yesterday morning? I think I read it. It came as a shock. Like I didn't even know he was ill.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed something.
Septic poisoning. I think they said it was.
That's crazy.
But man, comics wouldn't be the same without Neil Adams. The amount of just Batman rogues gallery that he's created on his own.
He's thoroughly responsible for the rebirth of Batman. I mean,
Yeah,
prior to Neil Adams, Batman was it was predominantly known as that comedic TV show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And kind of brought the darkness back to the Bat.
Be very surprised they don't bring out some sort of Batman Neil Adams commemorative issue.
Yeah.
I'd be highly surprised if there's not an omnibus of something that's put into circulation at some point. It seems blasphemous that there hasn't been a Neil Adams Batman omnibus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely
He had a pretty big run with Deadman as well, because that's one of the major things that I've read of him, because he wrote it and drew it. So he was 80, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did okay. Obviously stressful life, I guess, as well. Always keeping up with deadlines, with the writing and drawing. So it's sad. It's sad because everybody knows him in some way.
I read some of his later Batman runs, which he must have done in the early 2000s, maybe. It wasn't the same. It really was not the same as his earlier genre-defying Batman runs. But he could still work a pencil, man. He was an incredible artist.
Well, he did a Deadman run. I think I'm going to guess it was about 2016, maybe. So not that long ago.
That's recent,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, because I got the trade. It ties in with Batman, so maybe he was doing a bit of Batman then. I don't know. Can't remember. But I'm going to guess around about 2014 and 16 mark.
Isn't it crazy? We're going to lose Adams and probably Perez in the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. You know, the older you get, the more people that have influenced your life not only pass away, but, you know, they seem to go in 3s or 4s or, you know, it's just the way it is.
There's that famous quote, the quote that I really like. I'm pretty sure I probably watched it in a movie where I get most of life's advice, but, you know, at a certain age, life just stops giving you things and it starts taking them away.
Yep.
We still have Bowie, right?
Now, I'm surprised we've still got Keith Richards.
Oh, man, he's a zombie, man. He's been there for a while. He's just walking around amongst us.
He's just feeding on royalties at this point.
That's probably why he can't be killed by conventional weapons.
I'm still surprised Ozzy Osbourne's around. That still shocks me.
Yeah.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
They must have the immune systems of gods.
It's almost bat heads, I think, with Ozzy.
It's British, isn't it? Every British sort of musician just stays alive.
I haven't thought about that. Ozzy Osbourne's been biting the heads off bats for quite some time. We could have had this pandemic much earlier in the millennium, I'm telling you.
What about some other news from yourself, Mark, before I hog it all?
Oh, okay. There was one that was interesting, but I do not know the character as much, and I do remember asking Mad Spidey about him. Man-Thing apparently is going to make his MCU debut on an upcoming Disney project.
Oh,
Disney
really?
Plus project, yes. So I'm going to guess it's this werewolf one.
Yeah,
Right.
Werewolf by Night. That would seem logical.
Yes. So Man-Thing's going to make his debut. So
yeah, that's going to be interesting because Werewolf by Night is where Moon Knight got his start.
Which
right.
There you go. Bowie passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah. It was a joke. It's not Deadpool 2. Come on.
And do you remember I mentioned to you, Mark, that it's been heavily rumoured that Werewolf by Night, even though I don't see how it would make sense after watching 5 episodes, but apparently he's going to be a cameo or some sort of a scene in the last episode of Moon Knight.
Right. How are they going to fit that in?
Yeah,
I don't know how they're going to conclude that show with the plot they've got. I don't know how they do that.
Well, they did say as well that this is the episode. It goes without saying, but it's the episode we've been waiting for. You know, it's going to be pretty action-packed and pretty.
They've got to introduce a third personality, Jake Lockley.
Yeah.
They've got to tie up everything with his female love interest. They've got to tie up everything with the villain. Oh man, there is so much that's got to happen. Like
when you think about the interconnecting world of the MCU, you don't really have to tie everything together. You can have a couple of threads left hanging where those get resolved in another show or a movie.
I feel like with all of these Disney Plus shows, the only one that feels like it didn't sprint to its conclusion was WandaVision. Loki felt like it crammed a lot into its last episode. Falcon and Winter Soldier crammed a lot into its last episode.
That certainly did.
And it just feels like it feels really rushed.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Well, I think. Sorry, go.
I was going to say, now maybe it is. That's all.
Well, maybe like they could do a Jake Lock, like maybe in the very last scene. I mean, like maybe you think everything's okay, then all of a sudden, because I'm guessing because there's a few rumors going around that Jake Lockley's been there. Like he's the guy that asked the girl on the date.
Yeah. This is what I assumed. He was the ultra violent persona that they had in Egypt.
Yeah, Mark's the middle. And Stephen's the happier side.
The two extremes.
And then you've got Jake who's going to be extreme. So it could end when Jake comes out and then, or even in end credits. and then move on to the next whatever project they have with Moon Knight. But yeah,
It's supposed to be a limited series. There's not supposed to be a second season.
There's no second season, but
maybe it's a Loki thing where they advertise it as limited, and then all of a sudden Moon Knight will return in season 2.
That's right. It's all about what how successful it goes and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be the shortest last episode in the Disney Plus shows.
Really?
It only goes for 45 minutes, apparently.
Oh, man.
The other ones went for an hour.
Yeah. Well, there'll definitely be no musical number at the end of this one.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being short because I'll be watching it when I get home from Doctor Strange on Wednesday.
Actually, yeah, same. That's a good point.
It's a big night.
Yeah.
It's a very long night.
That is true, actually.
It's a lot of Marvel in one night.
Okay, well then the next one I want to talk about is all these CW cancelling shows that, to be honest with you, I'm a little happy with because it's about time. But Mark, I know you're a big fan of these shows. How does it make you feel?
Well, more of a person that watches them. I don't know if I'm a fan. For some reason, I just watch them. I actually liked Batwoman season 3, but I do understand why they cut it because it just wasn't going anywhere. It was the best of the 3 seasons. And for people out there was a season 3. People do forget, but that they finally dug more in because in season 2 it was more like Riley, who was the new Batwoman, was just a replacement, and you always thought maybe Kate could come back.
Yeah.
And then in the 3rd season, Riley gets her story going. There's a mother, there's a brother, and stuff like that. So there was more character development. There was more villains. There was a Poison Ivy. There was a Killer Croc. It was pretty cool. The way it ended, like I think I've said on this show before, was quite questionable because they've given a teaser, and I guess I can give it away now because they're not going to have a season 4. But they teased Bones as the next villain. Now, how is CW going to afford a bag of bones walking around?
I don't even know that character.
Bones? Do you know, Adrian?
I've read the Williams run of Batwoman, but that was like 8 years ago. I read it as it was coming out. So no, I don't.
Well, Bones is just like he's just Bones. Like he's like a skeleton walking around, and he's like part of an organization. And I don't know.
They would have been able to do it. I'm sure they film everything in the darkness, and then they got away with doing Killer Croc. Have they done Killer Croc? No, they did Killer Shark.
Right.
They've done Grodd. Yeah. They did Grodd. Grodd looked okay.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah. And I like Legends of Tomorrow, but it definitely did run its course. So
I can't believe how long that lasted.
Yeah.
That's a shocker.
Season 2 was amazing. I really enjoyed season 2. That one with the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
And going through the times in history to get the spear. It was so interesting.
I like a lot of Legends of Tomorrow. It was always fun.
I don't have a lot of good things to say about those shows. I mean, season 1 and 2 of Arrow are pretty great.
Yeah.
I really like those. So they feel pretty solid. And then Daredevil season 1 came out. Well, if you want to watch that type of show, you go watch Daredevil. Legends of Tomorrow just felt like a big campy sci-fi show, which for what it was, pretty great.
Yeah.
Flash season 1 seemed pretty good, and I don't know, they just kept forcing the crossovers and the multiversal stuff down your throat. Like any long-running TV show that doesn't have a roadmap, it just becomes very repetitive, and people drop off pretty quick. I'm sure you could pretty easily chart a decline in quality from about season 3 or 4 of Arrow on. From Flash end of season 2, season 3 on, right? Even Supergirl, I'm imagining, probably had a decline in quality or a decline in writing from about season 2 on. They usually have really good first and second seasons, which kind of build on one another, and then either contract negotiations get in the way, or they ended up being on the air longer than they thought they would, or they were forced to do some big crossover, which then makes you committed to watching the other shows, which you don't really care about. I lost track of them. I kept up with them better than most, and certainly a lot longer than anyone else I know. But it's too much. It's too hard. And it's a CW show. Like, you just know they're going to shit the bed.
Have you guys
That's what
ever
they
seen
do.
Naomi? Because I keep meaning to give that a go.
No.
Yeah, I want to give that a go as well. So, yeah. And I know they're going to do a Gotham Knights CW, so...
Yeah, well, that's going to be completely different, isn't it? Oh, wait, CW?
Yeah, CW's doing Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
That's Spidey.
And it's this scattershot approach. Like, you can pick and choose what you want to watch to varying degrees of quality. I'm much more interested in the Arkham show that's going to happen over, I think it's HBO Max.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's probably going to be a season and done, or like 2 seasons and done. It's not going to be this stretched out, made for TV on TV budgets.
Yeah.
I think just with the CW, everything just ran their course.
And then they just kept moving it on.
Even with our minds, I mean, like, there's only so far we can go into enjoyment into these characters. I mean, like, you go 5 seasons of maybe this character like Supergirl or Flash. What's that? They're 20 episodes each. That's like 20 hours per season on one character. Of course, they're going to try and do different stuff just to make it interesting, and it just never quite eventuates as good as the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've heard some good castings, though, for Gotham Knights, like Misha Collins from Supernatural.
Yeah, Cass. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to be Two-Face.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, the CW's got money. Like, they've got network money. They'll throw it around. And their shows generally look pretty glossy. But it's hard to do these types of shows without a roadmap.
Yeah.
Because they just fall apart in the end. It's just the same thing over and over. How many of these shows are just going to end on a cliffhanger?
Yeah.
That's it. We got cancelled. Sorry, we're going to wrap it up and call it a day.
Is
there anyone that's going to be clamoring for like a reunion later down the line?
I loved that crossover that they did with all of them, with like every single DC property. You know, the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't know what they actually called it. But I was so super pumped for that. And as soon as I saw it, and don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. I even bought the DVD of just that event.
Me too.
I just stopped caring after that, though, for some reason, you know. And like Aiden said, I was always watching all of these shows, but eventually I just had all these episodes of Flash, all these episodes of Supergirl waiting to be watched. And when it gets to more than 5 episodes that you're got a backlog, you just start going, man, there's just so much better TV out there that I could be watching.
It's a case of diminishing returns.
Yeah, you know, like I'm watching Better Call Saul at the moment, and I've just
a show with a roadmap.
I've just gone through that 5 seasons in like 2 weeks, you know, and it's just incredible. I couldn't do that with any of these CW shows.
I do.
I've been rewatching Jonathan Nolan's Person of Interest, which is the show he made before Westworld, and just watching that show play out across 5 seasons. It's a tight 5 seasons. Seasons 1 through 4, 24 episodes, I think. Season 5 is a shortened 13-episode season, beginning, middle, end. And it concludes, and it wraps up. Like, there is no room for, like, maybe tune in for next season with the further adventures. It doesn't end on a cliffhanger. No, there's an ending. And it's great. It's pretty solid.
Pretty different than Westworld.
Yeah. And again, I haven't kept up with that because it felt like season 1, fantastic. Season 2, overly convoluted. And then season 3.
Season 3, I got through 2 episodes and I was done.
Oh, guys, I loved Westworld, man. Like, yeah, it was very convoluted. You're right. And I had to watch a few YouTube shows after some of the episodes. But, yeah, I loved it, man. I can't wait for more of that. All right, well, what about Avatar 2? Apparently the trailer is coming out soon. We've been waiting, 15 years?
It's supposed to be attached to Doctor Strange.
Yeah. And they've ever got a title of it, Way of
Water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sorry, and they're going to be re-releasing Avatar to the cinemas, which means it'll be the highest-grossing movie of all time again.
Yep. So I can talk a little bit about this one. So, yeah, Avatar came out 2009, which is a fair chunk of time ago. And speaking as someone that actually teaches, like I'm a teacher, there are kids sitting in my classroom. They've never seen Avatar. They've heard of it. They know of it. But it doesn't interest them. It's not Iron Man. It's not Superman. It's not a franchise. They have to re-release that movie. And they're talking about remastering it. That's what I'm curious about. They're talking about remastering Avatar. What does remastering mean in 2022? For a movie that's old, but not that old, you know? The visual effects hold up pretty well in Avatar.
Yeah.
I 100% argue that Avatar does not work on a small screen. That is a cinematic movie. You have to watch that in big sound with 3D. There is a reason why that is one of the highest grossing films of all time. Avatar was an experience. You had to go watch it. People went and watched it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Most of us have probably watched it on a smaller screen at home, on Blu-ray, DVD, etc. Did we like it anywhere near as much?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No. Yeah.
I would argue that's where all the backlash has come from. Especially recently. Everyone calls it dancing in space with wolves. You know, it is. It really is. It's dancing with wolves in space. But you know what? They may as well be dancing in space with wolves. So it's a very generic narrative. But they are going to... They've been plowing ahead with this sequel for a long time. A long time. This is a sequel in the work for over a decade by James Cameron, who went and hired himself some new script writers. He wrote the first movie on his own. He didn't have a script. He wrote the script. James Cameron, not much of a scripter.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
He went and hired himself a writer's room. And he got a showrunner. He got the showrunner of the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Now, if you never ever saw that show was phenomenal. That was really good. So ended on a cliffhanger. But he's got a decent writer behind him this time. He's been working on that groundbreaking Avatar technology that he used in that film for a decade.
Yeah.
I think that there will be something to see with this movie. I think a lot of us are writing it off like, do we really need more Avatar? Do we really need something to see here? I'm not going to pretend it's the next great franchise. I'm looking at it as it's the next James Cameron movie. And he has been working on this movie almost as long as he worked on the first Avatar. I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go watch it. I think there is going to be something there that makes it a cinematic experience.
Didn't he always plan for 3 or 5?
5.
Yeah. So he's obviously got a huge end game. But yeah, you're right. If this second one doesn't knock it out of the park, though, then he's in for trouble. But you'd also imagine that if you're working on a movie for 10 years, you've got it right.
I think curiosity will drive the early market. Right. I think the trailer is going to have to sell a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which I think it will. I think they'll be, it's a blockbuster special effects. I think, the sequel to one of the highest grossing films of all time, that'll get the weekend market there.
Couldn't they have changed like the Avatar, because all they've done is what is it? The font? Papyrus? Like, that's all they did for the Avatar symbol.
Yeah.
They've gone up, they've changed the font, Papyrus. That's it. That's all this graphic designer did through his symbol. I always remember the Saturday night skit. Ryan Gosling does that. He just couldn't get any sleep. He goes, this graphic designer, all he did was scroll through and just went, Papyrus, that's Avatar.
So Whack Comics just put up that they've been working on 4 movies. Yeah, they have. But I don't think they've filmed them. I think that this is very much they may have even filmed elements. They may have filmed them back to back. But if the second movie doesn't do well, you are not going to see another one.
No.
Like you just won't. That's not how Hollywood works. It'll have to turn a profit, and it is going to have to turn a very, very big profit. So you guys heard the earnings of Spider-Man No Way Home?
Yes.
One of the biggest blockbusters of all times, right? Made over $1 billion. Well, how much money did they actually make? Sony only had a return of $650 million. Out of that comes their advertising. Out of that comes the production of the film. Out of that comes actors' salaries.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
when they say they have to make $1 billion for these movies, they have to make $1 billion.
Because they spent that money on it. So, yeah.
It's the advertising. It's your cast contracts. It's the cinema's cut. It's the fact that they had to split that with Marvel. That's why The Amazing Spider-Man 2, despite the fact that it made $650,000 or $700,000, didn't get a sequel. That is big money.
Yeah.
It's not big
I remember
enough.
that.
How much do you think Avatar 2 needs to make for a movie that's been in development for 10 years?
Yeah.
They
Especially
have to
with all
do
the rest-
big money. It has. I would argue it probably has to be $1 billion movie before they're going to head off and make number 3. But I could be wrong there, but
think like you
that
said,
is
though,
probably my 2 cents on it.
I think, like you said, though, like people are going to go for the cinema experience. This is not a movie that you want to watch at home. And I think everybody does get that, even possibly the younger crowd. I don't know. You are a teacher.
They have got to get that younger crowd. How do you do that? You got to re-release the first movie through cinemas. You have to, because Avatar is a cinematic experience.
Would
Second
they
thing they need
movie?
is, sorry,
Would they go watch an old movie? Older movie? Do you reckon?
2009, I reckon they would.
Yeah.
As long as it's got the 2000.
It's going to have that nostalgic factor. If they can get their parents dragging them along, or you release it at the right time. That it's all about
my
the
age
release.
will go, but yeah, I don't know.
There's got to be a hole in that. There's got to be a hole in scheduling at the cinemas. They just need to capture enough. They've got to get Avatar back into public eye, basically, because it's been away for a long time. You can't walk into Walmart, you can't walk into Target, you can't walk into Big W and buy Avatar toys right now. That's what they need. They need that. They need time to build that media storm again. They need to rebuild the brand to get everyone engaged. And then it doesn't just need to be successful that first weekend. They need the returning market. They need that the way Marvel does it. It's not just enough to see the movie once. How many times are you going to go watch Doctor Strange this weekend is the question. Most people go, oh, I've got tickets to go see it in 3-4 different sessions. That's how those movies make $1 billion. It's not because everyone goes to watch it. It's because its audience goes to watch it 2, 3, 4 times. That's how it works. They need that for Avatar.
And without any doubt, they've also just announced that Batman 2 is going ahead, if there was ever any doubt. So that's exciting as well, especially with the whole look at the Joker. I am very pumped for that one when that comes out. I can't wait for that.
Have you guys spoke about the merger?
Yes, we have.
Yeah. Discovery, yeah.
It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
They've already said that they need a reform of the DC projects. They need to streamline it.
Yep.
It needs to be its own thing, the way Marvel is its own thing with Disney.
Yep. We could have told them that 10 years ago.
Yeah. I'd seen too that Matt Reeves had said that that's not quite Joker yet.
Yeah, right.
Matt Reeves has come out and said. So one question I did want to ask, because I thought that was going to come up. 2 questions. So who do you want as the next villain, and who do you think is going to be the next villain?
In Batman?
In Batman. Or just pitch me a story of what you might want, and then what do you think is going to happen?
Mate, there's no other right answer than Scarface, the ventriloquist.
Yep.
I know a lot of people want Court of the Owls.
Yeah. Court of the Owls.
Everyone wants Court of the Owls.
Is that what you think or you want?
It's not what I want. I know what I want.
I
already know what my perfect Batman movie is. I know what it's been forever. There was a game that came out on the PlayStation 3 called Arkham Origins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it wasn't as popular as the other Arkham games. It was developed by another company, but the storyline is so quintessentially Batman. It's the birth of villains. It is a contract has been taken out on Batman's head for millions of dollars, and it's him literally encountering his rogues gallery as they crash in on him over the course of a Christmas night.
Yeah.
That's a
We've just had the Halloween Batman movie.
Yeah.
I want the Christmas Batman movie.
Yeah.
That
I
was
want
cool.
Batman in
Scarecrow
the
was really
snow,
cool in that.
beaten and bloody by his rogues gallery, and him rising up to take them on.
So you want all of the villains? Is that what you want?
I want Deathstroke needs to be like not the main villain, but one of the big villains. I want maybe Black Mask would be great. I think Joker could be in on it as well. You could re-employ Bane, but that might be a little bit too early. I think
they've kind of ruined Black Mask with the Suicide
yeah.
Squad.
So I mean, I would love to have Clayface. I would love to have Clayface. I think the way these movies have been, like this new movie is shot, it's very grounded, it's very realistic, but it's also very heightened. I think if you get the right material, you can introduce those fantastical Batman villains, but you don't even necessarily have to ground them. You just have to frame it as this Batman coming up against something he's never experienced, never encountered, and is so far beyond his comprehension that it's an entirely new ballgame for him. I think you can do it. Like, you look at the cinematography, you look at the way the Batman is filmed and shot, it's heightened. It's not... Everyone says it's really grounded, it's very realistic, and it is, but it's not. It looks like Seven, the David Fincher films, and it owes a lot to movies like Chinatown as a detective film, but it's still a movie where he jumps the Batmobile through a semi-trailer in a ball of fire. Like, it's heightened. There are still big action moments in it. It's still doable.
Cops have got the hats like in the comic books, and they've got the jackets. They're not the realistic cop suits that you would wear, and they've got little things in it that just make you realize that it is also a comic book movie. I would like, my personal preference would be Man-Bat. I would love Man-Bat. I would, but I wouldn't think he would ever hold his own as the main villain. I think he'd need to be a side villain and probably turn into Man-Bat at the end, because he was a good scientist to start with. But the way I think they're going to go, they are probably going to go Call Owls, probably. I did realise...
It's a favourite of Robert Pattinson. He likes the Court of Owls storyline. So
I think
they're going to
go Mr. Freeze.
I would love a Mr. Freeze. That would be my second
favourite.
favourite.
Tie into like a Christmassy themed event of Batman as well.
I rewatched it the other day, and I did realise when I first watched it that when he injects himself with that, like adrenaline, it's green, so it could be venom, and then you could tie it into Bane. Yeah. So Bane would work in that universe as well. I mean, like, but we've seen
any villain could work. They've taken a very unique approach to it, but I think in doing that, they've really set them up for a very particular vision of Batman. Like, it's unique. It stands out from the Nolan series. They're both grounded and gritty and realistic, but this one also has elements of like bombastic, crazy action, which the other ones had as well. But this one, I feel like you could introduce the Court of the Owls and it wouldn't feel out of the normal. In the Nolan series, look at the first Batman, the very first one. They made Scarecrow work in a very heightened, interesting way. Do you think that the Scarecrow of the very first movie, does that work in the second movie? Does Scarecrow work in The Dark Knight?
Well, he's in it.
Yeah, no.
He's in all three of them.
He is, but it's the Scarecrow. Like that metamorphosis of the face, the dream-like visions, that is tonally very at odds with the second Batman movie, with The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight feels like a very grounded, very like the real world. So you go from having Gotham with the Narrows and the steam and looking very European to suddenly looking like Chicago or New York in the second movie. Like if you have a look at it, it's a very subtle but very distinct difference in the way the city's presented. This movie nails Gotham. It has that neon skyline that's also a part of an incomplete, unfinished city. So it looks like it's all rotted and decayed from the outside, perpetually raining. Like it's noir storytelling 101. I think you can get heightened Batman villains into Matt Reeves' The Batman quite easily.
Just probably not Condiment King.
Sorry. I think they could make anything work. I really do. Like, I have faith in Matt Reeves. He's an amazing filmmaker.
I think the Court of the Owls fits the tone because, you got dark.
That's it.
We're underwater now. They're going to be pissed off. Those cities underwater now. They're going to be pissed off because they've been running the organisation.
You could do like a
zombie vibe with Taylor. Yeah.
Are you guys fans of? Are you guys fans of musical sensation and recently wrestler Bad Bunny?
No.
Yeah, no, neither am I. I never heard of him until he joined the wrestling recently. But the reason why I bring him up is because he's going to be playing El Muerto.
Yeah, isn't he from like a grand total of 2 Spider-Man issues?
Yeah, it's I read an article.
It tracks with what Sony's doing. That makes sense. If I'm being honest with you. That does not fit any external logic. It fits Sony's logic.
Yeah.
We've got all these characters. Let's put them on the screen.
Yeah.
I am honestly surprised they've made that announcement so soon after Morbius.
Yeah.
Morbius was a disappointment on, I think, every perceivable level. It didn't crack $100 million in the US box office. That's for a movie like that, that's not good.
No. Which is why
I don't know what it's like sitting internationally at the moment. I can't imagine it's anything spectacular.
Oh, it's done all right overseas, but if it didn't have an overseas market, this would have been a definite bomb.
Yeah.
Just because it's got a big international what do we say, box office market, I suppose, doesn't guarantee a sequel these days. They really do. I don't know why, but they really do follow their domestic box office.
Yeah.
Another movie I can think of that's kind of like that was that Warcraft. Anyone remember the Warcraft movie they made a couple of years back? That was $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
They made over $1 billion. Never saw a sequel.
Yeah.
Why? It made next to nothing in America. It made all its money in China.
That's crazy.
Just because it's got a big international... Like, even Venom, I think, made money in America. Decent money. The second Venom movie didn't do as well, but I think it still made enough for them to continue on with that character.
Yeah.
They're in COVID too, which would have affected it a little bit.
I know that someone's going to screenshot this. They're going to make a video clip recording of me saying this. I don't think we're going to hear from Morbius again.
Yeah. Well,
I think there's been a big internet backlash against Jared Leto. I think that's going to be very hard to get away from.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all, which is why that, as I was saying, that end credit scene just annoyed the crap out of me, because if we're never going to see Morbius again, then that's just, it's one of those.
Man, I see nearly everything at the cinemas. Like I legitimately watch a lot of movies. I go to the movies once a week, sometimes twice a week. I still haven't watched Morbius.
I still haven't watched it.
Yeah. I have no interest in watching it.
It'll be on DVD sooner than you know.
Yeah, that's right. Or able to stream. I did see that Venom 3's got the green light as well.
Yeah, that's true. Which I
think it made just enough money for them to justify it.
But I just don't care anymore after Venom 2. Venom's like my favorite character of all time, other than like Scarlet Spider and Spider-Man. And they just ruined it.
That's the thing. Sony have got all these Spider-Man characters. They need to crank out a Spider-Man movie every couple of years. Otherwise, they lose their rights, their film rights. They're going to keep cranking these things out in perpetuity.
Yeah.
That's right, Mark. They're making a Kraven the Hunter movie and also
It's
a
already filming.
Madam Web movie,
Yep.
which I don't understand. And they've always wanted to, but they keep stopping it. A Black Cat, Silver Sable thing.
Yep. And you know what? These movies keep coming out with next to no connections to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They literally are just teasing their audiences at this point. It's a bait and switch. You look at the trailers and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, it's in the universe of Spider-Man. You watch the movies, like, unless you know that Venom is attached to the Spider-Man world, you don't know that Venom's attached to Spider-Man at all. Unless you knew that Morbius was in the Spider-Man world, you wouldn't know that Morbius is it. Those movies are mislabeling themselves. It shits me every time I see the trailers for them and they put their Marvel logo front and center to try and trick the casual audience into thinking, hey, this is a new MCU film. No, it's not.
And it really annoys me as well
using Marvel's license.
When you have work colleagues or friends that you're always trying to sell Marvel movies to, and then the one they happen to go watch is a Ghost Rider or a Morbius, and they think to themselves, mate, I am not going to bother with these Marvel movies, and you sit there wanting to bang your head against the wall. That was not a Marvel movie. Do you not see it, say, in association with? But how do you explain that to people that just don't actually care either?
You know what, man? I remember there was this one guy that was in line at the cinemas many years ago. He point blank argued with me that Venom was in the MCU. I was like, it belongs to Sony. The film rights belong to Sony. Marvel sold them off many years ago. He's like, no, it's the new Marvel movie. I'm like, no, it's not. He's like, but it's got Marvel. I'm like, I understand that. I'm not retarded. I understand what you're saying, but it actually belongs to Sony, who have the license that they brought from Marvel. Couldn't explain to him right or wrong, because that's how they advertise themselves. They're riding off the MCU coattails.
Yeah, I guess it's not that guy's fault.
You know, don't lie to your audience. Just be upfront about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
From the studio that had a little bit to do with the $1 billion Spider-Man franchise. You know.
Based on a character from Marvel.
And that's a good segue into a word from our sponsors.
This show is sponsored by the Comx Shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. Then head over to comx.shop to pick up a variety of Australian comics from multiple creators and publishers, all for one flat postage rate. We hope you enjoy the show.
That's right. Go to Comx Shop. You buy one comic, you buy 10. It is a flat rate postage. It doesn't matter. That is just an awesome deal, which you don't normally get from comic shops. It always depends on the weight, as you know, not with Comx. So you want to support Australian comics. You want to support Australian creators. You want to check out some Kickstarters. Check them out. The next bit of news is Ant-Man and Marvel's swapping dates. Did you guys hear about that one?
No, I didn't actually, but that doesn't surprise me. I felt like Ant-Man wasn't very far down the pipeline. Like, I haven't heard a lot about that. Whereas I feel like I've heard a little bit more about the Marvels, and I think bringing that out closer to the Miss Marvel TV show is smart.
Makes a lot more sense, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, structure-wise, it makes more sense. So they can sort of momentum into it, couldn't they?
Yeah.
And your Ant-Man movies have always felt very disconnected from the MCU anyway.
Yep.
No, I mean, he was a big part of No, not even Infinity War, just Endgame. But outside of that, like, they brought elements from the Ant-Man movies into the Avengers movies, but you could almost remove the Ant-Man movies and it wouldn't make that much difference. I know that's probably crying foul. I like the Ant-Man movies.
No, I get what you mean, though. Yeah.
I think they're a lot of fun. They bring quirky
humor in
humor.
this one, so that's going to set up a bit. He could be the next big bad or one of the next big bads.
I would say yes, but also, like, probably not.
I hope so.
How many big bads have we had in the MCU?
Oh, just one.
Thanos.
Yeah.
I don't think Kang becomes the next big MCU villain. I don't think.
No, it's probably going to
Maybe.
be Doom, isn't it? Or something
I
like
reckon
that.
it's Doom.
Yeah.
Galactus.
Beyonders, maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow tied a lot of the Beyonder stuff into the Celestials, or just to try and keep it streamlined. Maybe
Is Ultron classed as a big bad? Sometimes he is.
He's a big Avengers baddie, but they really fucked him up, I think.
Only in one movie.
Yeah,
one movie, but I was thinking the comics.
In the comics, he's eternal. He's always around.
Yeah.
He always comes back.
He's pretty vicious, isn't he?
So does Doom.
Yeah.
It's typical comic books. Yeah, all you're doing is shuffling the deck.
Yeah.
That's all they do. In comics, you can take the toys off the shelf and play with them. You got to put them back where you found them. So all they do is shuffle the deck and put it back.
You got any other more news, Mark? Because I've still got some more. I'm hogging it all, mate.
Okay. I heard that there was a rumor going around that there was reshoots of Shazam, and I forget which other DC, could have been either Black Adam or Flash, but then the rumors are murmuring around that these reshoots, possibly Superman, with the old rumors going around, they're going to throw into like a net credit scene. That's the rumor. It could be Henry Cavill, because
right.
I know Discovery's making a push for it now. And it just made people think, like, reshoots already now this late, and the movie's about to come out.
Maybe they
could be
get
just
rid of
extra
Ezra
scenes.
Miller.
It could be that. I don't know if it was Flash, but I do know it was Shazam.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the second movie was. I doubt it was Black Adam, but yeah.
Fair enough.
I've got two pieces of news I can share, and then I'll probably have to bail, I believe. First piece of news from me is we probably all saw that John Watts is leaving Fantastic Four.
Yes, that was the next one I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. That's interesting, but also not. He's just directed 3 big movies back to back to back for Marvel. Like, he just completed a trilogy. He did what? He did what Sam Raimi did. 3 Spider-Mans.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. And I imagine after the stress of the last movie being shot kind of in and around a pandemic, that would have been a nightmare to make that movie.
Yeah.
The negotiations with the cast and the protocols around filming would have been a nightmare. So I completely understand with him wanting to take a break. I know they do want to hold him on for more Spider-Man movies, because I think he does have the magic touch for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see who they put on, however, for Fantastic Four.
That's going to be interesting, isn't it?
There's a bit of there's just like,
I could see them looking
on it, isn't there?
I could see them looking inwards towards their TV shows, their Disney Plus TV shows.
Yep.
I could see them hiring from within just to make it a smooth, straight in, because I don't know how far Fantastic Four is down the pipeline, but I mean, the only way it could be any worse is if it was like what's happened with the new Fast and the Furious movie. John Cho literally left it like the week before they were due to start filming.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable, wasn't it?
I read a news report. It's costing them something like $1 million a day in delays. Like,
Luckily,
big money.
Yep. Wow.
I
also wanted to talk about the fact that China seem to be trying to stop, which I guess they've done for a long time now, but a lot of these Marvel movies, they seem to be having a bit of an issue with. Doctor Strange, for example, the LGBTQ character in the movie that I won't say in case you're not aware who it is, what that represents, what it means for the movie in some scenes, I guess, and also how they requested the Statue of Liberty to be removed from the end of the Spider-Man movie, or at least darkened. And, can you imagine the reshoots for that if they listen to China? So that's becoming a bit of a problem, I think.
Yes and no, I think. I think that Hollywood became very reliant on that overseas China money. But China has been not allowing a lot of American films to play there. This is not just a common problem that's happened in the last year. This has been going on for a little while now. And I think with rising tensions between China and the Western world, Australia's got pretty massive tensions with China at the moment. Even America has tensions with China. I don't think that they're going to be bowing to China anytime soon. I think that this is going to be a case of them that I think they literally just have to try and figure out a way to make their box office work without China and not bank on that money anymore. Yeah. Because they could make the changes and then China could still not allow that movie to play in their country. China will always be putting their own media first and foremost.
Exactly.
That's what they do.
Exactly. So where does it end? So I'm with you there. Like, you just stand your ground.
They
thought you made a good
movie.
movie.
Limit the screens that movies like that can play on anyway because they want their own media to do well.
Yeah.
That's money that goes back into their own country.
Right.
Not back overseas to America.
That's right.
There are some Chinese movies that make billions of dollars. I could not name you one.
Yeah.
I'm a film fan. I talk about films on my own channel. I could not name a Chinese movie that's made $1 billion. But they do. Frequently. They make big money. And we talk about some of the big movies that make $1 billion, like the Fast and the Furious movies. They make a lot of that money over in China as well. So I think Hollywood has seen a big cut into their profit margins by movies being disallowed in China. I mentioned that stupid Warcraft movie not that long back, where it made its $1 billion. China. Yep.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting seeing the trend moving forward then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really will. I don't know how that's going to shake out.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one more piece of news, and then I've got to bail. Sorry, gentlemen. I've got my phone going off here in the background as per usual.
You've nearly lasted the hour, mate, so don't worry.
I've tried. So you guys would have seen that there's the petition for Amber Heard to be removed from Aquaman.
Yep.
2.5 million signatures at the moment of recording, I believe.
Oof.
How do they go about that, do you think?
I think it'll be pretty easy.
How do they negotiate? That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it is a lot of people. But, on one hand, it all depends on where this list of names, signatures is going to. Like, if it's going to the execs at Warner Brothers, I don't care if they've got 10 million people on there. No one's going to tell Warner Brothers what to do. If they want Amber Heard on it for whatever reasons they've got, they're not going to listen to the fans. They're not going to listen to the world. Warner Brothers do what Warner Brothers do. However, you can't exactly ignore a huge voice like this either. E.g. Snyder Cut. Things do happen.
All right. So I'm going to try and explain to the best of what I have been able to piece together how this is probably going to shake out. I know a lot of people are comparing this to the Sonic the Hedgehog dilemma. The early trailer they released for Sonic the Hedgehog that had the really off-putting models that they used. Big pushback on the internet, and then they went back and redid the CGI. It was this big success. They listened to the fans. People are trying to compare this to that. This is not that. This is not that. There's a couple of things that work against that fact. The fact is Aquaman is pretty much already in the hole. It's already filmed. A lot of these movies now, it takes them their 4 to 6 months to film, whatever it is. It usually doesn't end up being that long. They're basically animated movies where all of the work is done in post. So Amber Heard probably shot all her Aquaman stuff quite a while ago. They could go back and edit her out. They could diminish her role. Absolutely, they could do that. There are other films that have gone back and completely reshot that stuff. If they're too far down the development pipeline, they can't go back and reshoot that stuff because the special effects are already done for it, which is fine. The other thing they could do is edit her out of the film, like literally cut her out and then stitch in a new person. They've done that before. They did that with a movie called Army of the Dead, which was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Do you guys happen to catch that? Also a Zack Snyder film.
Yeah.
They actually cut out an actor. I think his name was Chris D'Alba. He was a comedian that had some pretty nasty shit that surfaced about him.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder went and cut him out and replaced him with a female comedian. Actually,
Yeah.
Jeez,
it was a
I
lot
didn't
of
know that.
work.
Yeah.
Like, it was
So-
a lot of work. And this was a character that was probably only in the film for a matter of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like next to nothing.
So what I've heard for Aquaman 2, that Amber Heard's actual mirror is only going to be 10 minutes of screen time all up. I know they have cast Dolphin, and if people don't know in the comics, Dolphin is Arthur's other love interest. And they have cast Dolphin, and I love Dolphin. I'm a big Aquaman fan, and Dolphin is I'm more Dolphin than Mira. I love Mira as a character, but they can go, like you said, they can go that route if Dolphin's already in the movie and edit Amber out. Or just keep the 10 minutes and just somehow I don't know.
That's the smart option.
Yeah.
You keep her in. You really you edit as much as you can, where she's only just in it maybe at the beginning or however. Don't know what the plot of the movie is. I don't know whether she's in it the whole way through. If she's in it the whole way through, there's not much you can do. If she's only in it at the beginning, that's good. That is your dream scenario. She's in it for a little bit at the beginning, then she's gone. Flashpoint takes place. You just write her out, put in a new actress.
Yep.
So before we do head off, though, sorry, I was going to say before we do head off, though, Mark, can you please quickly enlighten us as to who this Dolphin character is for those that don't know, like myself, and are picturing Aquaman sleeping with a fish?
Right. So Dolphin is she's a female character. So if they're down, like you got Atlantis, like sort of the rich place of the sea, and you've got these bottom feeders, whatever they're called. I think it's called Ninth Sea, and they're down in the depths of, and they start morphing into sort of other fish animals or over time. Like you get the trench, that was like that as well. They were right down low, so they turned into the trench. She's part of that, so she's from a poor sort of part of the sea, and what I've read, she doesn't really speak that much. She's got that sonic sort of power in the sea. She can blind people, and yeah, she sort of follows Arthur because she sees Arthur as a figure that could help out the poorer people as well as Atlantis, because he's from outside.
Yeah.
He cares about everybody, where Atlantis didn't quite care about everybody. They just cared about the people that were well off, the people. And she's from this bottom feeders of the ocean and stuff like that. I really enjoyed her arc and what I have read. And as I said, I've drawn more towards her reading the comics. As I said, nothing wrong with Mira. I just feel like there's more in the story to it, because it brings out how good Arthur is as a person, for starters. And yeah, that's basically all I can tell. She's usually blonde. She's got scaly sort of skin, not all over, but she is like a woman. I think they cast an Asian woman as her, which would be kind of cool as well. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know anything? Any user ever heard about Dolphin or? No. Okay.
No, I've only read what little of Aquaman I've read in the New 52 Justice League run.
Right.
So whatever I saw of him there is all I've read of Aquaman.
Throne of Atlantis, I think that was.
Yeah, I know he was in it for a whole arc, I think.
I think it was the Throne of Atlantis or Atlantis Attack. No, see, I get my Atlantis titles confused as well. But yeah, anything else before we head off, gentlemen?
That wraps me up. I'm out of breath.
All right, well, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please share the video so that we can give away a $100 Amazon gift voucher so that you can buy whatever the hell it is that you want and not need a gift that you don't want to receive. Please look us up on Instagram at AussieVerse Comics Collectors. Don't forget to go check out Aiden at his own channel. I'll have the link in the description there. And always don't forget Comx and A51 Designs. We will see you back this Thursday for the last big Moon Knight episode review and going through the MCU. We still have the Hulk video to upload. And last but not least, we have a massive, giant haul video coming for you, hopefully this week. Thank you guys for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Aidan, you are welcome anytime, my friend.
Thank you very much.
100%.
Mark, any pearls of wisdom before we go?
I have too many dreams about zombie apocalypses. It's starting to get worrying now. And they're all in the same place. Like, I've got no escape. I've got to figure out a better plan before I go to sleep, I think.
That's Mark's mind this week. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week at Aussie. Oh God, that really threw me out there. AussieVerse for life.